What's up, you guys? Welcome back to WideBody Nation. I get tons of questions on tires and wheels, but a lot of questions on tires for people with Hellcats, SCAT packs, C8 Corvettes, and really any other car works for this. So the main focus of today's video is the R888R tire, but I'm also going to be showing you options and talking about competitors or other alternatives depending on your needs, because the R888R is a very famous, a very popular, a very good-looking tire, in my opinion, but it has its drawbacks, it has its pros, it has its cons, and obviously, like most products, it has its intended use, which I think social media and just a lot of other stuff has maybe made people think the R888R is something that it is not, if that makes sense. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Comment down below what tires you currently run, your wheel and tire setup, whatever it may be, and if you like it or not, because I've bought and sold a ton of wheels, a ton of tires. I mean, it is crazy out here. So appreciate y'all for tuning in and sharing your experience. So this is my current setup on the 2020 C8 Corvette twin turbo. It makes over 1100 horsepower to the wheels when it is on its spiciest tune. It's tuned down to right around 1,000 right now. We are currently running Mickey Thompson ET Street R's in the back, a very large tire. I'll get to the sizing in a second. And as you can see, we are talking about the topic of today's video. The R888R is on the front here. Now I have them on the front on this car, and then I have my 2022 Dodge Charger Hellcat Jailbreak, which has the R888Rs right here on the rear. Yes, the tire shop did slightly ding the wheel, which is not really cool, but whatever. It's just a car. But we got, remember on these cars, they are square. So it's 305, 35, 20 all the way around. That's why it feels like you're driving like a cement roller or like a Ford Raptor when you're driving these cars. So I've got about 1,000 miles on these R888Rs. Yes, I will show you guys driving, and it is a little bit rainy right now, so it's actually a good question that I get from a lot of people is how how these track tires, these performance tires perform in the rain. So the first thing you need to know about the R888Rs is, yes, they are a very, very, very loud tire. They are 100 treadwear tire, and they have that crazy, here, I'll just show you. They have the crazy tread pattern, or really kind of a lack thereof tread pattern. These are 305 section width, and these are actually the same size. They're on Corvette wheels right now, but these are the same size that are on the Charger that I just showed you on the rear. You can get up to 325 width. I have those right here on the Corvette wheels, and I believe they make them even wider, but I don't know what size they make them in. But these are all 20s right here. These are 20s. These are 20s. This is all Corvette wheels right here. Don't pay attention to those front wheels just yet, because those are not technically in even like the racing category. But these are my Mickey Thompson ET Street R's. These are a 305 width, 45 profile, 18-inch diameter. So 305, 45, 18, which is a really big, and by big I mean tall tire, the height of the actual tire, and that's why it fills up the whole wheel well. I mean, it even rubs a little bit, if I'm being 100% honest, and that's stock ride height. This is lowered. So let's go back to these R888Rs. Sorry, I got a little distracted. The R888Rs, they're a sticky tire. They have a very cool looking tread pattern, which is one reason you see it on so many show cars, is because everyone loves how the tread pattern looks. But because of the material and because of that crazy tread pattern, they are so loud. At about 40 or 50, it's more of a hum, just a slight, oh, okay, I've got some performance tires on. I would call it a hum, very light hum, kind of like a just like a very low, very tolerable, okay? When you hit 70 or more in this car and in this car, it is a very audible, I would call it more of a drone and less of a hum. It is much more like a kind of a mid-pitch, just constant, a constant, not vibration, but it's a droney, higher pitch hum. Now, a consideration is, okay, where do you have them in the car? Do you only have them on the rears? Do you have them all four corners? Do you only have them on the fronts? That could make a pretty significant difference for you, because in this car, for instance, this thing is like a lazy boy on wheels. A little bit of hum barely makes it into the cabin. It is what it is, and I don't really notice it that much. With the C8, however, granted it's twin turbo, and this thing has been taken apart, you know, 10 times and twice on Sunday. This thing, these tires do give a pretty good amount of like feedback and vibration-ish up into the car. Granted, I do need an alignment on this car. It hasn't had an alignment in a while, and I've switched wheels and tires out quite a few times. So that's on me. But yeah, guys, I'm telling you, these tires are loud. If you've heard it on the internet, some people will say they're not, some people will say there are. They are definitely a loud tire. Now that we got that out of the way, because I wanted to get out probably the most obvious rumor first, and by rumor I mean confirmed fact. Why should you get these tires, or who should get these tires? These tires are very stable at high speeds, and they are pretty sticky. Now, I already showed you guys that I'm running the Mickey Thompson ET Street R on the Corvette, which barely has any tread. It has a couple of water sipes that are literally just vertical. There's no horizontal cross sections on those tires, and they are a 0 tread wear tire. Like, they're not even rated for tread wear. Whereas the Toyos are a 100 tread wear tire. So, I mean, they're all DOT legal, don't get me wrong, but there's a pretty big difference between how sticky R888Rs are and how sticky Mickey Thompson ET Street Rs are. Now, if you're debating between, say, like a Mickey Thompson ET Street R or ET Street SS, or maybe even a Nitto 555 R2, which is Nitto's most recent drag radial, the biggest thing is going to be your high-speed stability, the amount of traction you have, both cold and warmed up, and then kind of the weight distribution of your car. I don't even need to do burnouts currently with the C8 because those are so darn sticky, and because the C8 has about, you know, close to 60% of the weight in the rear. I don't have that classic Mustang or Charger problem or Challenger problem where I have all the weight up front and all the power is in the rear. I've got a ton of weight out back, a ton of weight in the rear with a nice sticky tire. So whereas on the Charger, obviously this whole vehicle is just heavy because it's such an old design. But you got to keep in mind that when you're only driving the rear wheels and all the weight is up front, and by all I mean most, those tires are more likely to break loose. Before we hit the road in the rain, because I know that you guys actually kind of want to see how these are in the rain, as far as what I've noticed so far with these kind of performance driving and just driving around town, you can still definitely break the rear end loose, even without traction control turned off if these tires are cold. They do heat up, they do take some warming up, and the drone does go down a little bit once they're warmed up. But if your car is making the sauce, you know, 700 plus horsepower, these are not going to be a very good dig racing tire on the street. If you get these properly warmed up and you're on the track, I would say they can probably take a launch, but you know, the amount of burnouts you do, these tires are going to wear out very, very quickly, especially when I see people doing burnouts with these. They'd like to do like sitting burnouts, and it really just kills the tire, where, I mean, you get rid of tires in like 1 or 2 days at that point. That's another thing about this car I like, is I don't have to do huge burnouts or any burnouts at all, so that my tire wear is way, way better on the C8. I guess that would be the last consideration, is technically the tire wear on like a drag radial is going to be way less than even an R888R. You know, some people report that they can get 2, 5, 10,000 miles out of these Toyo R888Rs. You know, it depends on how you drive them, if you're doing burnouts, if you're sliding, whatever you're doing, right? The last thing is, and this is a very important thing, so if you stayed this long, you're going to benefit from this for sure. If you guys are deciding between the Toyos and then maybe some more drag-oriented tires, if you're going to be drag racing, then if you're, you know, eighth mile, quarter mile, chances are you're not going to be hitting too high of speeds. But if you guys are running an actual drag radial on the rear and then a normal tire up front, you're going to get a very floaty feeling in the rear. The car is going to feel like it's on kind of like a water bed, or just on like a very floaty balloon tire in the rear. Even if you don't have like a crazy big drag tire that has a bunch of wrinkles in it, my Mickey Thompsons, they make the car really float in the rear. Now, some of that is because of the way the Corvette is set up, but just be warned that these tires, these R888Rs, are much more stable at high speeds because they're a much stiffer tire compared to a actual drag racing radial tire, or even then like a bias ply, basically balloon tire that you could get that is like not a DOT approved tire. With that being said, I'm gonna throw you guys into the Hellcat. I'm on the way to get a haircut, and you guys can see how the car performs in the rain. I'll give it some sauce. I'll step on it a little bit and show you guys how much it breaks loose and just kind of how much it does in normal driving. You know, spoiler alert, they're not bad in the rain. Obviously, pretty much any tire, more or less, you can get around in the rain. It's just how fast you can drive and how crazy. But with a car like this, I don't really see a reason to drive that crazy in the rain. So that being said, let's go. All right, so we're driving in the rain, obviously. Going about 40 right now. I'll let you guys listen. All right, so that was between 40 and 50 miles an hour. And you guys can basically hear that there's ever so slightly a whine. Kind of sounds like a supercharger, not like whining, but just like, you know, spooling or turning. I'm gonna take the highway on the way to my haircut so that you guys can hear what I'm talking about at 70 plus miles an hour, because that's when it starts to get quite drony. But as you can tell, we're cruising around in the rain. It's not the hardest, like this is not like a Florida thunderstorm level rain. It's just kind of consistently raining. It's only 60 degrees out, so not super hot on the road either. And you know, it's all right. I can give it some sauce and it'll probably kick out. Let me I'll do it at the light real quick just because I don't want to. We were just in a school zone, but you know, the tires aren't bad. It's not, you know, there's a lot of my friends who have ET Street Rs, who have TOYO RRs and all these other, you know, these all very, very aggressive tires. And, you know, those tires in even this amount of rain, you have to drive very, very slow. Let's see. Here we go. We got to get in the lane for the highway. But, I mean, the braking's fine. Keep in mind that I do have all seasons on the front. I still have the 305 with all season Pirellis on the front. The person in front of me is driving erratically. It's Altima, so you know what to expect. But you know, the tires, they're very manageable. It's not that they are so crazy that you can't drive them. It's just that, you know, I would probably drive about the speed limit. Obviously, no rapid acceleration, no rapid deceleration. They are not on the level of a true drag slick, and you would expect that. I mean, they have the large vertical sipe right down the middle, a rain channel, and then they have the horizontal sipes going on the inside and the outside of the tire to displace that water and potentially other debris. So, you know, they're obviously not an all-season tire. They're not even an all-season, you know, summer tire. They are a very racy tire. All right, folks. We're gonna get all the way up to about 80, 85 miles an hour here. We're at 60 right now. right, so I realize it's probably kind of hard to hear the noise. Again, it's not so oppressive that it's louder than rain hitting your windshield, but it is an undertone of humming or droning that is very noticeable. The all seasons before were very, very quiet. I'm sure if I had the Toyos in all four corners, I would be much less comfortable driving 80 plus miles an hour on a large interstate. But you know, having the all seasons up front and the Toyos in the rear kind of works both ways, because my steering wheels are very planted, whereas my rear wheels are very grip and performance focused as well. Okay, you guys can hear now. Okay, so that was good. That is another thing with these Toyos. Depending on the type of pavement, like this is brand new pavement right here, it is louder. Older asphalt seems to be a little bit quieter, and then concrete paved highways seem to be pretty loud as well. So here's some concrete. I mean, we're only going 50 now, but like I said, they're noisy tires. I mean, as far as tires go, they're not noisy like a crazy aftermarket exhaust or like supercharger at full tilt or anything, but they are a pretty noisy tire. So I hope that knocks out 2 stones with 1 bird for you guys. You know, I showed you guys how they drive in the rain. They're really not that bad. You know, I showed you the audio, or I heard you the audio. And again, they're not that bad. It's just a consideration. Like if you're planning to do a lot of road trips and planning to try to have some sort of, you know, cruising car, I would consider the Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2 if you guys want a better, just like street tire that's still pretty sticky. The Pilot Sport Cup 2 is a solid option that a lot of people overlook who are not familiar with racing. So other than that, folks, I mean, I guess I'll send you off here. So yeah, you can tell it. I mean, you can still break them loose a little bit. Yeah. So there you go. There's a little two getting squirrely there. I'm not gonna stay in it too long for obvious reasons. I got traffic and everything right here, but they're not bad tires, guys. They're expensive though. They're expensive. I guess we didn't cover that, but you know, for a decently sized tire, you know, a 20, a 21, a 19, whatever, I mean, these tires are easily 500 bucks. So I would consider getting like a protection plan with them, because then you don't drive over 1 nail and then you're out 500 bucks. That's how I usually do. But appreciate y'all for tuning in. Let me know if you guys like these, the tire content, the actual mod content, the nitty gritty. I'm trying to save you guys hundreds of thousands of dollars by making these videos. You know, they're not as flashy, but I think they're valuable. But let me know in the comments. Hit that subscribe button. Make sure you protect your Mopar at destroyer1320.com. Use code WBN for 20% off. Thanks for tuning in. And as always, stay safe out there. I will see you in the next video.